Hello, I'm Ross from Britain's Hidden History, and welcome back for more information we just don't get to find out about, and one of which is about Caerdydd, or Caerdydd, modernly known as Cardiff, but how Caerdydd got its name, okay? Now, there's lots of ideas being knocked around over the years, and I'm going to put some up on there so you get an idea what the mainstream versions are, what the official versions, so you can see. So go to Wikipedia, it's a good way to get the sort of official narrative. And what you'll find here about Cardiff, if you don't know, you should know, it's capital of Wales, 11th largest city in Britain, an amazing history going right back thousands of years. Although they call it the youngest capital, that's another story. Right, so etymology, okay? This means history of words and how words come about. So the official line these days is that Cardiff, or Caerdydd, is a slow mutation where Taff, which is the river that runs through Cardiff, has become Tav, in the same way Llandaff becomes Llandav, and then the Tav became Dydd, and then Dydd became Dydd, and it all goes back to the fact it's on the river Taff. Problem with this for a few Llandaff being one good example, Llandaff's on the Taff, and it's still called Llandav, it's still called after the Taff. The river's still called the Taff. There's plenty of places named after the Taff. I don't know any places, apart from apparently Caerdydd, where the name's been changed from Taff to Dydd. There's no seems etymological, to use their terms, way for thinking this. It doesn't seem to work. Another idea is that because Dydd means day, that it's some sort of day fort. And again, that doesn't really hold up, because I'm not even sure what a day fort is, but you'd have had lots of them all over the Roman Empire if it is this idea of a temporary fort or a staging post, or a march between 2 points. Where's all the hundreds of them called Dydd, which isn't even a Latin word as you would expect with a Roman name for something. So it doesn't seem to be a Roman name at all. It's an old British Welsh name, all right? The language goes way, way back, further than people like to admit. Anyway, right, so we've got, that one doesn't work. The other one which comes up is this guy here. This is an idea that this bloke, you want to read some of his stuff. It's great. He had some amazing ideas, one of which was trying to write the Welsh out of history. But anyway, William Camden has got a lot to answer for writing out a lot of British history. Very strange guy. And he came up with this crazy idea that I think he's just desperately trying to find a non-Welsh word. And the best he could come up with was that Aulus Didius Gallus, Roman general, 1st century, is named after him. Right, now, if we look at Gallus or Didius, you have to use that name, not Aulus. It's not Aldydd or anything like that. It's got to be the one that matches. Anyway, let's not dwell on that too long. You'll find that he, well, for a start, the details of his career are a bit cobbled together. But Tacitus, we have to rely on this, I suppose. He said in 52 he was made governor of Britain. Now, in 52, there was no way anyone was in Wales. We would argue, as you'll see on the other videos on the Arturius Rex series, you're looking for this. Here's the kind of cover you're looking for. Oh, except it's got my marker on there. They was definitely still battling till at least 79 AD. There's no way the Romans were wandering around South Wales building castles in his period. It's at least 20 odd years later. And it just seems very unlikely from that. And also I think you'll find these days that, oh, here we go, eponym of Cardiff. This idea has been pretty much dropped anyway, because these people who study words and that, to get from the Latin Didius to the Welsh Dydd, it doesn't work. So this idea is pretty much being dropped. So it seems all these ideas are being dropped. So where do we go? What does it mean then, all right? Well, it all comes down, of course, to... let's get the next slide ready. Where does this word Dydd come from? Now, get this out. This is a reprint of a 1688 dictionary, which is fantastic. It's brilliant. I love the way it's described, because Welsh language is the British language, right? And it says on the front here, the British language in its lustre, or a copious dictionary of Welsh and English from 1688. And it's crucial, because a lot of these old words have disappeared. They're not being picked up on or put in, or even referenced in modern dictionaries and things. All right, so hang on, let's make sure you can see on the screen. So there we go to the page there. And sure enough, there's Dydd, all right, for day, and Dyddio. Hang on, I took another picture to her up. Let's zoom in. So there's day, Dyddio, or Dyddio, Y being the only Welsh letter it's pronounced different ways. So Dyddio or Dyddio. And what we come up with is to agree, to compose a difference. And the same root of the word, Dyddiwr, is an arbitrator, a peacemaker. So it's seen, and the word Dydd on its own, by the way, the Dyddio is the verb, Dydd is the agreement. It's an agreement in the Old Welsh words, agreement. So what we seem to be looking at here is an agreement that's been made, but between who, right? Who's making this agreement? What's the agreement all about? So what we're going to do there, sorry, that's Gallus, we've done him already. Right, so at the time when this agreement seems to be made, and if you look at the writings of Wilson and Blackett, you'll see more about this. You'll also see more in the previous videos in this series, if you're new to this one. Make your head spin trying to follow all that. So Hadrian was emperor from about 117 to 178, and 138, I was going to say. The whole story falls apart otherwise. 138. And Hadrian's career was an interesting one. And one of the things he got massively criticised for was for making agreements and peace treaties with the borders around the Roman Empire. A lot of people wanted to be more like Trajan and going smashing his predecessor, and smashing through and, like taking on the Dacians and the Thracians and looting them basically and bringing everything back. But what he realised it was impossible to do. He was becoming overextended. He changed his, I think it says here, there we are, even Wiki's got it. So abandoning Trajan's expansionist policies and territorial gains in all these other places, Mesopotamia, Syria, Armenia, parts of Dacia. He was more into defensible borders and the unification of the emperor's disparate peoples. Okay, he wanted to bring everyone together. This was more his attitude towards it. And he's known for building Hadrian's Wall, which marked the northern limit of Britannia, which is also interesting because it was built. He put defences up, which we'll see in a moment, but the actual wall was built by Severus much later. Anyway, so what we're going to do then is whiz down here and look for the British bit, because following that policy, gone past Britain, where's he gone? 130, 121 it was, or 122. Come on, Britannia in the West says 122 here. I think it's fine, it's 121, never mind, near enough. So what had happened was, in Britain, there had been this major rebellion from 119 to 121. It was a bit more than that because they just could not conquer Britain. As you'll see in the other videos, the claim is that they failed. They got a foothold in the south of England, and they took some key points like Caerdydd, where they could build a harbour to get the goods in and out and their troops, and they had to garrison it with a whole legion because they were being overrun. It was disastrous. It was bankrupting them. So what they've done at this point, Hadrian's done the sensible thing, in line with his policies all around the rest of the empire. He's come to negotiate and agree a peace. And he's agreed that peace with the kings of Britain, who their power base was in southeast Wales at this point. And the place where they had the agreement would be Caerdydd, place of the agreement. Now, as part of the agreement then, he's had to, as you can see, he's detached more troops. And it would seem that part of the agreement was that he would build his defences up on the northern border. And in return for access to the minerals and the goods and the food, all the things the Romans needed to keep their empire going, in return Britain got houses and towns and villages, and lots of Roman-style things happened, which is why you get so much Roman-style stuff in Britain, even though it's not evidence of a conquest. It's just built in the Roman style. And it all happened after this agreement. And the key thing about it was the succession, okay? After he died, he had no heirs. And in Rome, they had been, you can read all about this, they had been slaughtering each other. There was lots of people, consulars are being executed, the people were killing each other. There was no easy succession. So what he did was, he adopted this person there. Hang on a second. Another mouthful. Titus Aurelius, Fulvus, Bionius, Annius, Antonius. Very Welsh thing, ap, with the father, the father, who became the future Emperor Antonius Pius. And if you want to go back to the earlier videos I did on British kings that ruled Rome, I'll try and put a link up or something. He's top of the list, right? Antonius Pius. And if we go into this great book here, it's a mine of information for this stuff. You'll find, at top of the list then, for who the Welsh, that is Alan, right, so he's Alan Aleru ap Ysbwyth. And what we can do then, we can find out who his father was, that kind of thing. Because the next one in line then, we got King Myrchion, who ties in with Marcus Aurelius. We got King Lyrig, who ties in with all these. There's Marcus Aurelius. He's got his British equivalent. And you find everything about him. Ties in with him being a British king and based in Britain. So how about them onions? And it all ties back. You can see records of this in the British records. Amongst other things, people like Manawydan, they call it mythology because they don't really understand what the Mabinogi is all about, which will be future book and videos, all the astrology and history in what is dressed up as children's tales. Anyway, I'm not going to go too much longer about all the things about these kings, because it's already in the previous video. What you want to take away from this is Dydd means agreement. Caer, fort or walled area. The walled area of the agreement. Caerdydd. It should be one of the most significant points in British history. This is when the treaty, the agreement was done between the Romans and the Britons to stop fighting and have some sort of trading agreement. All right, so I hope you enjoyed that. And until the next time, I'll say peace, which in Welsh is heddwch.